Stop making art. As an artist, that's a pretty counterintuitive thing to say, but back then, at that time, that's honestly what I needed to hear. Let's back up for context. A couple months ago, I posted a video on creative burnout. I was not in a great place. I was stuck in the loop of needing money, taking commissions, using up all my creative energy finishing them, and of course having to take a new round of commissions anyway because, college, it's expensive. It got to the point where I honestly dreaded picking up a pencil, to where I kind of hated doing art. And maybe the most frustrating part was that, I didn't want to hate it because I'm an artist and I'm supposed to love art. I'm supposed to want to make it and enjoy making it. So what was wrong with me? I was very, very burnout. That's what. And so in my last video, which I posted ages and ages ago, we're not gonna talk about how bad I am at consistently posting videos, but in my last video, I made a plan that I hoped would help me get some distance and recover my creative energy. My plan was to pick 7 activities ranging from don't do art that day to try a sport to work in a new setting to, others, because there's 7 and that's only 3. Gosh, you guys have no idea how nervous I am recording this video. I hate recording. My goal was to get them all done that same week, but life threw me curveballs and that did not end up happening. And now that I am here, an insane amount of months later, finally, I'm making a video on what I did and how it went. Also, this video is going to be a little different than the ones I've made before. First, I'm out of town, so instead of, myself in my usual studio space, I'll be trying out a collage of different videos of my, various creative and relaxing projects. Some of these are from the challenge itself, but many aren't. During the challenge, I quickly realized that shoving these projects beneath a camera lens was kind of stressful, more stressful than it was relaxing. And I had trouble focusing, knowing everything I was doing was being recorded. I wanted space to, do the things without feeling like I'm living beneath the eye of a camera that is hanging over me with impending doom. Maybe that's a little bit dramatic, but it's hard to focus on creative things when you have that camera pressure. Plus, I have, enough trouble remembering what a conversation is about while I'm having it. So remembering to actually record the projects while I was doing them, sometimes it worked, sometimes it did, and more oftentimes it didn't. So I don't actually have footage of a lot of it. So basically, expect to see a blend of different things from different times. Also, going back over my old videos, I noticed how stiff and serious I sound, which is not like me at all. Like, not at all. So confession, recording these videos terrify me. Before I start filming, I spend 5 to 10 minutes caught between having a crisis and hyping myself up to record. Sometimes my hands are so sweaty that I can, barely press that big red button, that big scary button that starts the recording. Usually I butcher some lines so bad that I have to redo them. And y'all don't want to know how long it takes me to edit all of the ums and long awkward pauses I have. So since I get so anxious doing these, I really hate how my previous videos are so not me, I guess. Like, I want to be my most authentic self. And even though it's hard being that under a camera, I want to get better at it. I really admire people who feel comfortable enough under the camera to have their personality shine through. So from here on, I'm going to try to be a little bit less like, help, I'm being recorded, dying, crying, sobbing, and more deliberate about, being me and all of my chaotic, slightly unhinged, and hopefully occasionally amusing glory. Anyway, that's my little spiel, and since y'all didn't come here to listen to me monologue about myself, or at least, not that part, let's get to what you're actually here for. From stopping art to watching an inspiring movie to getting myself out of my workspace, more accurately dragging myself out of my workspace, and into a putt-putt park, which is interesting. Here's my little diary of how I creatively recharged and how I think it helped me reconnect with my love of art. Also, if you are feeling creatively burnout too, and would like to do a similar challenge to, try to beat that burnout out the window, stay tuned because I have included a fun little bingo board with lots of ideas that would hopefully help and hopefully inspire you. For the first day of this challenge, I decided to stop doing art, at least for 24 hours. We'll test where am I even going with this? We'll test my resistance, my power to resist the temptation of art. So it felt really nice not to have the pressure of constantly creating, not gonna lie. I kind of just enjoyed, listening to a story instead, which is a near brainless activity that helps me unwind and feel more rested. I love my fantasy stories. Maybe you can't have dragons in reality, but hey, you can have them in books, which is the second best thing, right? While I don't think not drawing for 24 hours directly inspired me to make any art, I do think that it indirectly made more space for me to want to create art. Forcing myself to grind out project after project definitely, makes me feel a little, maybe a tiny bit bitter toward art, maybe just a little bit. So I think non-art days are important to help artists rest and recalibrate. Creating and being a creator feels amazing, but it's also a lot less so when you're forced to create, at least for me. Whenever I feel forced to do something, it's like, oh, thank you. There goes all my motivation for doing that. Whether the forcing comes from school projects, commissions, pleasing the algorithm, or reaching a certain output goal, in my experience, it's only made art a chore. It's an obligation now. It's not something that you choose to do because you love it. It's something that you must do because you're required to do it, if that makes sense. And that shift changes everything, at least for me, in terms of motivation. Stepping away from art and getting distance for a bit, I think it helped me at least partially remember why I love creating. And with that distance, I feel like I can better pinpoint what exactly is making me burn out and how I can change it and what I need to change in general. And honestly, that was the goal of this challenge, to get that space and to take steps toward a healthier and happier life as an artist and a creator. For the next part of this challenge, I decided to temporarily pause with commission work and spend time on a passion project, which is animating. Guys, I have wanted to animate for so long. And so this script was This script was written months and months and months ago. It's ridiculous how behind I am on making these videos. But taking the time then during this challenge to do that animation has given me the confidence to be like, wait, guys, I can actually do this. I can actually animate, because I have wanted to do this for so long, but for some reason, I did not believe that I could. And getting one project under my belt during or partially during this challenge is just another confidence booster, I guess, that it is possible. And knowing that it's possible makes me realize, hey, it's not only possible once, it's possible again. And since then, since this project, since this script that I've written months and months ago, I have finished more. So that's me breaking the fourth wall a little bit, because I'm supposed to be just sharing what happened months and months ago during this challenge. But hey, snippet from future me. And now past me will banish future me. Anyway, if you didn't know, I not only like to create, business content to inspire people, but I am also both an artist. Obviously, I know you wouldn't be able to guess that at all, but I am an author too, which you might not know. And ever since I was maybe 13 or so, maybe a little bit younger, honestly, it's been my dream to start creating animations for my characters. And these are the characters that I both write and that I both draw, because I don't know about you, but creatively it kind of blends together. Like what I like to read about, I like to write about something inspired or, similar things interest-wise. And then I take those characters and I draw about them too. So I don't know, my creativity kind of blends between things. So because of that, it has always been my dream to start creating animations for my characters. So a couple months ago, probably more than that, honestly, I decided to create an animation channel. So far, I've only posted mostly sketchy videos, just like, simple sketch animations. But I do have a few more complex projects that I'm working on. And for the Burnout Challenge, one of the projects that I made was one of those simpler videos. When I was doing the Burnout Challenge, I worked on this project for 2 or 3 days, so it wasn't strictly just one day of me animating. And yeah, even though it was still pretty simple, it took me a while to finish because I'm still not great at it. I'm still learning. And with that learning takes, more time to do things, which is both fun and, it can be frustrating sometimes, but it's also an enjoyable challenge. I forgot to record most of it, as I referenced earlier, that I got to record some of the projects, but I did get me finishing part of it, so I should hopefully put that on the screen now. This character is from a fantasy novel that I've written and am editing, and you can kind of think of it as a cross between Jurassic Park, Inside Out, and Six of Crows, but taking place in a Wild West-inspired setting with dinosaurs, hence Jurassic Park. Each dinosaur is based on and fueled by an emotion, and my main character, Bo, hunts down Banes, which are dinosaur manifestations of quote-unquote dangerous and socially unacceptable emotions like anger, pain, or grief. So Bo is fun because she is simultaneously trust issues TM, but also a rotting bag of loneliness, which, as you can guess, probably go really great together. Not. She refuses to work with other people, but that changes when her butt is kicked in a battle, and she's reluctantly dragged into a group with a bossy ray of sunshine and a walking example of emotional suppression. She and the others think that they're hunting a new Bane, but in reality, it's hunting Bo. as she's fighting her own inner demons, it's all she can do not to fall to her emotions and turn into the very monster they're hunting. The story follows them on their journey as they battle Banes, the local cult who sacrifices Banes, and the outlaws who wield them like weapons. And of course, there is Bo's inner battle, not only against herself, but also against the stupid, stubborn part of herself that, despite everything, wants to find a family in the lovable idiots she's forced to work with. If you're interested in learning more about Bo and the crew, I know this has been kind of a spontaneous, shameless self-plug, but if you're interested in learning more about them and seeing animation and story updates, I did make a separate YouTube channel to post that on. What on earth did I call that thing? It should be under Amasimper Studios, but in case it's not, I will post a screenshot because, again, short-term memory. Anyway, the process for creating this animation was really great. It felt amazing to actually be excited about creating art again, to, lose myself in the process, to enjoy working on something without having to fear a deadline or payment or have an obligation to make something super polished and rendered. I love it when you just get so involved and invested in the creative project that it's no longer about, oh, how long have I been working on this? Oh, what time is it? It's just full focus. You're in the moment and you're loving what you do. And I feel like that's how art should be. And that's what I was really missing and really lacking. Also, for personal projects, it usually takes, I want to say 6 to 10 hours, sometimes more for me to finish them. I am so slow, guys. So working on personal projects and committing to spending that long on something is usually difficult and frustrating. Since this animation project was a lot more sketchy and unfinished stylistically, it felt really, really freeing, and it was great seeing a project come together so quickly. Another thing is I also struggled to draw humans, and I only started practicing them in a serious way recently. And for context, the animation that I was working on was, had a human in it at least. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that these little animation sketches will help me improve. And with that improvement, I'll be able to finish projects faster. But then I say that, and then I look at what I said, and I'm like, there I go again, over analyzing and trying to get everything done as quickly as possible, maximize my output, save time, be more productive. I listened to a lot of hustle culture stuff when I was in my early teens, and it's really crazy to think of how much that's bled into my life and influenced me. And yes, there have definitely been good influences by it, don't get me wrong. But there's also been a lot of negative ways that hustle culture has affected not only my self-esteem, but also just my general life enjoyment. When I keep making everything about, numbers and productivity, I lose a lot of my joy. So it was great to kind of throw off those self-made shackles for a while and to create just for the joy of creating and not have to worry about anything else. For the next day of this Burnout to Be Gone challenge, I decided to retry a sport. And this day was really fun, but also really exhausting. Not the, physical exhaustion that comes from exercise, but honestly, the mental exhaustion of being out and about and just interacting with people. This day fell on a weekend, so my dad and I decided we'd go and play putt-putt, which is definitely not usual. A very interesting treat, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. The last time I played was probably a year or two ago, and I was not great, to put it lightly. As in, it took me an average of 6 to 8 tries to make it in one hole. I expected something similar this round, but to my surprise, I mostly made par, and it took me about 3 tries each round. I even made a hole in one time, which was, exciting, really exciting. This day was fun in a more uncomfortable way than what I usually consider fun. Most of my art and writing work is, done at home in the comfort of my own room with the peacefulness of solitude. I've gotten a lot better at feeling less anxious in new environments, but these kind of excursions are definitely more taxing than my usual rest time with, personal art, gaming, or watching comfort shows like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park supremacy. We love Jurassic Park here. However, I am grateful to do these kind of things, and I'm glad that I put it in my anti-burnout challenge because I need these outings to break up my status quo every now and then. I need to get my butt off the floor, drag myself outside, and breathe in fresh air, to take in sunlight and spend time in new places and not just be a little goblin holed up in my room all day. And honestly, I loved it too, spending time with my dad, drinking in all the pirate-themed details, marveling at the live heron that made its home there, and also terrorizing the local lizard population with my affection. Don't worry, I released all the ones I caught, and no lizards were harmed in the process. This was an activity that definitely didn't have a direct effect on my art. I didn't come away motivated to draw more. I wasn't filled with instant creative energy. I didn't come home and immediately start creating again. On the contrary, honestly, I wanted to crash, but that might be due to my struggles with low energy rather than the activity itself. However, even though I don't have a direct connection between them, I think that going out like this every now and then will not only help my art, but, my mental health. I feel like us artists are very, very in danger of being chronically online and chronically on screens and chronically curled up in our shrimp position. And like most artists, I fall victim to this, and I know that I do. And because of that, I really, really do want to and need to prioritize getting out more. And spoiler, in the months since I completed this challenge, I have, and it's honestly been really, really great. I love getting outside more and being in nature and soaking up sunlight and generally just feeling more alive than staring at the dead white of a screen. I'm curious if there are any other out and about activities that will have, these same positive benefits, but also leave me feeling less drained. I think if I can find that balance, that would be great, For day 4, I decided that I would work in a new environment to spice things up. Literally, as in like coffee shop, not that spice. This day was honestly really wonderful. I went to my local coffee shop with my mom, and we each, worked on our own projects while we sipped and snacked. I wasn't feeling the greatest at first because I'd recently taken my iron, but the nausea wore off shortly after eating, and the latte probably helped too. I didn't get as much done as I wanted because the shop was a little crowded, and it was hard to, focus with lots of nearby conversations. But I did get to revamp a short story concept I've been working on, and, I'm happy with what I did accomplish. Like doing putt-putt, this sounds like a recurring theme by now, I didn't feel any immediate desire to do inspiration or do art. And also like putt-putt. I, again, think the benefits of, changing scenery and getting fresh air are more subtle than, say, just a sudden desire to go and create the next Mona Lisa or, your own artistic masterpiece. Getting out was refreshing, and it's lovely to change scenery and work in different environments. I need to remember this because, short-term memory, and sometimes I forget how great it is, and instead I'm just like, no, new places, oh dear. So, yeah, I need to remember that more. Parallel play is one of my favorite things to do, and I feel like I can pretty much always focus better when I have friends or family working alongside me. So I would definitely love to do more of this in the future, going to a, different place to work, but preferably somewhere where it's a little bit less busy, both so I can have, increased focus and also have the change in scenery, because that is good. We like this. For day 5, I wanted to watch a movie that creatively inspired me. And for this, I chose the last movie that I remember feeling really, really uplifted by, which was Kiki's Delivery Service. And yeah, I obviously watched this movie before, and when I did, it struck me as just really moving and really applicable to anyone who works in the creative industry or dabbles in creativity. And honestly, this rewatch felt no different. As someone who spends a lot of my time isolated in my room as I work, Kiki is kind of a crazy character for me. For context and a quick explanation of the movie, Kiki is a 13-year-old witch who sets off alone to a new city to begin her training. Seriously, 13. Wow. She starts off lonely and directionless, but quickly makes friends and a new business through her kindness and her hard work. However, her magic is threatened with burnout, da-da-da, and she has to find her spark again if she wants to save her business, friends, and her new home. I both admire Kiki and feel like her character is a little crazy. Crazy in terms of, wow, I feel like I could never do that. In recent years, I've, found the confidence to start getting out more and exploring new places and flying to conventions and conferences with friends. But that first started when I was 17, not 13, and I still sometimes, spoiler alert, often feel anxious to this day. There's something so inspiring in her journey, like making connections with others, her kindness and generosity, building a business from the ground up. I admire that so much. Being supported by her new friends and supporting them in return. Like there's so much community in this movie, and so much just people coming together to, lift each other up and just being there for each other. I love the idea of having a community around you to work with and make goals with and just chase your dreams together. It's so beautiful. If you're anything like me, you're probably online all the time, whether it's for work or school or keeping up with social media, art, gaming, other hobbies, talking to friends, or, just doom scrolling. I mean relaxing. And many of those things are good, necessary things to do, not doom scrolling. But other things, they're good and they're necessary. But there's also something so charming and nostalgic about Kiki's journey, and the idea of unplugging to just live and be present in the moment and living out your own adventures. It's both challenging and empowering, and it makes me want to, get out more and be more involved in connecting to my local community. To do this more so far, I've applied to volunteer at a local paleontology museum, and I went with a friend to a thrift/exchange event run by our community art center. Guys, I love our community art center. I recently discovered that they have little events every month, and I really, really want to start attending them. It's such a good opportunity to, just connect with other creatives. I think one of the most interesting things about this day of the challenge is seeing how inspiring other people's art can be. Sometimes I have a hard time justifying, quote unquote, sacrificing my productivity to, watch things or to go out and attend like a local event. But I forget that I want my art to inspire others. And, in the same way, consuming and interacting with other people's art can inspire me too. And I want to do that more, to interact with other artists' work, to connect with other creatives, and to take that momentum and that community and use it in my own projects. I am a very productivity-driven person, so it's a challenge for me to deliberately unplug and take that recharge time. But I think doing this more will, help me avoid creative burnout. For day 6 of the challenge, I spent a day outdoors. This day was spontaneous in the best way. For most of my time as a teenager, my closest friends have been long distance. I have been so incredibly blessed to see my long distance best friend a couple of times this year already, which is insane. I'm so happy. You have no idea. Spoiler, I'm actually at her house again. Yay. But now also for the first time in years, I have local friends. And guys, when I say all my friends, all my people are amazing, I mean, they are amazing. Like I adore them so stinking much. And my day and life just immediately gets better every time they send a text or a call. Or apparently every time they swing by the house, which is a completely new experience for me. Basically, what was originally her dropping off materials for a project I'm working on turned into her hanging around while I did laundry, which turned into us eating lunch and talking about everything from our original characters to the astounding lack of compassion in the world, and then to a walk around the lake where we found frogs and turtles and said hello to ducks. And again, I am a very productivity-driven person. So the idea that I could postpone my checklist and just live in the moment was so refreshing and new. I've spent a lot of my life feeling alone, which makes me value and appreciate the people that I have now so much. I am really, really grateful to the friends that I can not only laugh and hug and travel with, but ones that I can cry with and be vulnerable to and have authentic conversations with. Like, guys, I love these people so stinking much, y'all have no idea. And I think taking the time to, spend time with them, to get offline and breathe fresh air and laugh and walk and have connection I think it's really invaluable. Yeah, and again, I feel like this is true for so many of these activities in this challenge, but it wasn't one of the ones that I felt like, oh, huge artistic surge of inspiration. But again, I know I've said this so many times, but I really do believe that just because they don't immediately inspire me doesn't mean that they aren't helping or that they aren't valuable, because they are. Not every moment of my life or your life has to be designated to productivity. Your purpose in life isn't to be productive. I have felt that way, and I still struggle with that. And if you struggle with that, I want to let you know that you are more than the checklist that you accomplish. You deserve to live and laugh and love and not just hang under the weight of everything that you feel like you need to do. Again, I used to consume a lot of hustle culture content, get up at 5 a.m., block out your entire day, work weekends if you want to see success and growth. And having immersed myself in that for so long at a young age, like we're talking like very like preteen or very, very early teen, and consuming that for so long, probably 4 to 5 years, and having experienced the unsustainability and burnout from it, it's so nice to take a break and let myself, experience flexibility instead. And while I know it isn't realistic or necessarily healthy to just drop your to-do list and have a spontaneous day of adventure, I think that every once in a while, abandoning your screens and checklist for grass between your toes and bird song and blue skies is, it's a good thing. And frankly, it should be done more often. For my final day of this challenge, I cheated slightly, kind of. Instead of trying a completely new medium, I chose a medium that I tried a couple years ago, but ultimately gave up on. Which, to be fair, also applies to several of the other potential new mediums that I had wanted to try for this video. Instead of watercolors or crocheting, the two I had originally thought of, I went with attempting to create a possible felt critter, which is basically, it's not quite a stuffed animal. It's, like a little critter made of felt. That's such a bad explanation. Maybe I'll put a picture up. If not, definitely go look them up. They're adorable, and I have wanted to make one for a while. When I first wrote this script and for this challenge, I didn't get very far, just, building the armature. Now, several months later, I've actually started adding some of the felt, which is really cool. But again, for the challenge, I was just on the armature. But yeah, eventually it will look like any other needle felted animal. Except one, it's a dinosaur, and two, the metal armature will allow it to be posable, which is one thing that I really, really wanted to do, because I just want a little friend that sits on my desk, just a little guy, just a cute little baby. My first try of something like this was of a dragon character, but I never finished her, and she eventually just disappeared. I travel often, so it's definitely possible that I accidentally left her somewhere, although that would be really strange because I cherished that little project, and I took as good care of her as I could, so I honestly don't really know what happened to her, and I guess it'll just be another mystery in the scheme of life. If I ever find her, though, I'll let you guys know. Anyway, I recently, as of writing the script, it's, again, been a while since then, I've started playing a dinosaur RPG game on the weekends and more recently during the week. So I'm making the critter what I main as in the game, which is an Alioramus. Bear with me because I'm about to go geeky on you for a second. Don't log off yet. It's only for a second. I promise I'll restrain myself the best I can. So Alios are fun because while they're related to Tyrannosaurus, they're often depicted with both feathers and scales. And honestly, I'm here for as many feathered dinosaurs as, the fossil record or family trees support. Like, I want them to be fluffy. I want all the fluffy murder chickens. We love fluffy murder chickens of all shapes and sizes. Anyway, I will spare you more of my dinosaur gushing. This was a fun and honestly sometimes slightly frustrating project to work on. Since I haven't done anything like this in a while, it definitely took a bit to remember and research how it's done. And to put it lightly, I lack technique. I had wires that were popping off, sliding up and down the armature, just generally not working like they should because yeah, I haven't done this a whole lot. So I still don't know how it's done completely. Securing the wires have been hardest with, moving and sliding, not staying into place. And a lot of times my twists weren't tight enough to secure them. Either that or the wire that I used was a little bit too thick and not flexible enough. Oh my gosh, they're fireflies. Aww. I'm so distractible. I'm sorry. Okay. I could have. No, those are. Cry. They aren't fireflies, guys. Cry. Blah blah blah. What am I talking about? I made up for this the best I could by using extra wire, and it didn't tie things together perfectly, but for now it's holding, so fingers crossed. I think the most fun part about this project was how it's a little challenging. It's entertaining to have a problem to solve, and honestly, it was a great break from digital art. It makes me really, really appreciate how much more practice goes into something before that becomes easy or enjoyable. Since I mainly do digital art, I forgot how long it really took to, build my skills and get to a place that I could not focus on just purely frustration, and I could kind of actually enjoy the creative process more instead of struggling to figure things out. I definitely struggled doing this little felt guy. Definitely struggled. So, it's nice to have that as a reference and then come back to digital art as something that I know I'm good at and can do with much less effort and frustration. Except maybe faces. We're not talking about how exasperating drawing faces are. It was also great to just not be in front of a screen. I sound old. I am so sorry. But I don't know, the glaring light, it kind of gets to your eyes after a while. And almost everything I do requires a screen. So it's cool to have a hobby that I can do without staring into the abyss of a harsh Arctic glare that sears my retinas. Overall, with the burnout challenge complete, I think it was really, really fun and a good way to stretch myself. Again, I didn't get everything done in a week like I'd originally hoped, but honestly, that's just my life right now. It has its own timeline because I have a lot going on. One of my family members has a fatal disease, and it takes an emotional toll on you. So, yeah, my whole schedule's a little iffy. I would really, really like to implement something similar to this burnout plan on an ongoing basis, maybe 1 or 2 times a week. I think being deliberate about trying new things, getting out of the house, and just, getting off screens has been good for my mental and physical and artistic health. And I'd like to do it more. Speaking of, if you would like to do similar... Wow, I butchered that. Speaking of, if you would like to do something similar, if you also struggle with burnout, I made a fun little beat up burnout bingo. It's on the screen if you'd like to screenshot it, but I will also have a link in the description to a free high quality download if, you'd prefer that. I'd love to hear more of what you guys do when you're burnout creatively. I always want more ideas, and if you guys ever want to do like a challenge together. I think that might be fun. I think it would be both motivating and also accountability because, yeah, sometimes I struggle to do things without, deadlines or accountability. And honestly, it would just be so much more fun doing things with people. Like, I hate doing things on my own. Why would you do things on your own when you could do things with people? So much more fun. So, yes, let me know if you guys would like something like that, or honestly, just what you guys do. Well, what do you guys do to chill? Is there anything that doesn't involve electronics? Let me know. Does stopping art usually, help you guys want to make more art? Or yeah, what do you do to fill your creative energy? I need ideas. I need help. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please smash, hit, kick, demolish that subscribe button. Just, try to keep your phone or computer intact because you probably need that. Thank you so much for hanging out and spending your precious time listening to me blab. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Cheering for you, friends!